Welcome back to Peoria Code Talk. I'm Mark.
I'm Gary.
And we are out in beautiful Peoria on location. With monsoon season upon us, we thought that we would come out and give you guys some helpful hints to combat, weeds popping up with the added moisture. I don't know if we're going to get any rain and get some moisture, but regardless.
I hope so. We need it.
In the summertime, we do get weeds, dead vegetation popping up, so we thought we would come out on location to give you guys some helpful hints.
Last segment, we talked about weeds. We want to talk about pre-emergent, so we brought Superintendent of City of Peoria Landscape and Brandon in today with us to speak about the pre-emergent that we're going to be observing these gentlemen over here spraying.
Yeah, we're going to talk about pre-emergent herbicides as just another tool in your tool belt for combating weeds within your landscape. So we're here to talk about pre-emergent herbicides. That is your proactive method of combating weeds, whereas a post-emergent weed killer is going to be a reactive method. So you guys are probably all familiar with big box stores and getting a weed killer. Those are considered either selective or non-selective post-emergent herbicides, meaning that the weed has to emerge and be present for those chemicals to work. A pre-emergent herbicide works to create a barrier in the top couple inches of the soil that prevents the weed seeds from germinating. Typically, a pre-emergent herbicide is not going to be found at your big box stores. You're going to need to go to a specialty landscape store in order to find these pre-emergent herbicides. Staff there is very knowledgeable and will be able to help you pick one out for your certain application. Pre-emergent herbicides come in two forms. One's a spray, the other one is a granular. A spray can really is more cost effective, but has less efficacy, because ultimately, as we saw here, we're spraying over the top of the rocks, and you want to water that in. You want to get it down past your ground cover of your rocks and into your soil to create that barrier. Because without that activation, without that watering in, the intensity of the UV rays we have in Arizona will eventually deteriorate that chemical compound and will no longer be effective. The other option that we have is to do a granular product. Granular product can be put into a basic hand spreader, and you can spread those through your landscape, and those little pellets will work their way through your rocks and into your soil. Then the next time we get rain, it activates that pre-emergent herbicide. I have some here. We definitely want to make sure that we're following those label rates. More is not always better, and the label is the law, especially when it comes to even the consumer products at the big box stores. And what is definitely key is your PPE. About a year ago, not many people knew what PPE was, personal protective equipment, but I think after a year of a pandemic, we're all pretty familiar with protecting ourselves. The PPE can be found on the label, so if you need to wear gloves, typically long sleeve shirts, long sleeve pants, that way you don't get these chemistries on your clothing. So here we have Pendulum. This is the same product that Brightview is spraying for us here. Within the label, you want to make sure that your label stays on the container. That way you know what's there. And never use these containers for any other use except for the pesticide that's within them. When you run out of your chemical, you're supposed to triple rinse this container and then slice it open so it can't be used for anything else. The label has directions for use, first aid, and the big one is the re-entry period. I know you guys may be concerned a lot with your pets and when is it safe for them to re-enter your yard. All of that information is going to be found on the label. Once again, the label is the law. So before you spend your money on any sort of product at the store, make sure that you thumb through this label and you make sure that it's going to work. What questions do you guys have for me?
When you actually said that you actually spray the pre-emergent and then you water it down, do you physically water it down or you just spray it and let it sit to make that barrier you're talking about?
You want to try to get that chemical down into the soil.
Right.
By using more water in your spray mixture, that additional water helps it to penetrate into the soil. Otherwise, follow the label rates in terms of the mixing of water to chemical, and then yes, physically come back and use a hose or turn on your sprinkler system to actually water it in.
Yeah, you want it in the nooks and crannies and the crevices.
Correct. You want it in the pore spaces of the soil.
So how careful, if I'm using the liquid form, do I have to be around my bushes and my trees and stuff like that? Is it going to really affect them and kill them off or anything like that? Because I might get a little bit oversprayish.
Right. There are some products at the stores that I mentioned, the specialty landscape stores, that are called tracker dyes to either tint it yellow or blue. And that helps you to be able to see where I've been and where I need to go to ensure that you have full coverage. Now, when it comes to the plants, these chemistries are designed to not necessarily hurt the plant. These pre-emergents are designed to not affect living plants today, just in the soil when the seed starts to germinate, they prevent that emergence of the plant from the soil. While they are designed not to hurt existing plant material, they can, if sprayed over the top somewhat haphazardly, and you can see some of the parts of the plants affected by having that chemistry applied to them. Is it going to completely kill the plant? Probably not. You can use a backpack blower or some sort of blower to blow granulars off your plants if they happen to be spread in there. Or again, as you follow up with your watering to get it into your soil, just rinse off your plants. Again, there could be some unattractiveness that happens to your plants if sprayed, but ultimately they won't be killed.
It's good information.
That is.
I really appreciate that. I learned something.
What other questions do you guys have for me?
I don't know. I think you did a great job, and obviously this is why we brought him in, because
He is the expert.
he is the expert, and we could have never supplied you with all that information.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Appreciate the time having me come out here, explain this to you, and hopefully having this knowledge, this extra tool in the tool belt of our citizens and our residents, that they can spend less time spraying and more time enjoying their landscape.
You know, this is just another opportunity how we're coming to you and trying to help you guys out, keep Peoria looking a great place. And if you have any other questions, you know, feel free to reach out to us or reach out to Brandon in the city, and he can supply any information that can help, you know, beautify your landscaping at your house, and we can keep Peoria looking beautiful.
Weed free and seed free.
Exactly. Until next time, I'm Mark.
I'm Gary.